If you drink beer in the UK, you need to hear this. Some of the most popular lagers in your fridge are no longer what you think. Recipes have changed. Cheaper ingredients have been swapped in. Brewing shortcuts are now used to protect profit, not flavour or quality. We investigated 10 of Britain's biggest selling beer brands, examining how they are made, where the ingredients come from, and why complaints keep rising. What we found affects every pint you order and every pack you take home. These are the 10 UK beers you should never drink. And the final one is still marketed as a premium classic. Number 10. Carling, the lager that built its empire on volume, not quality. Carling has held the title of Britain's best-selling lager for years. Millions of pints poured every single week across pubs, clubs and supermarkets. The red logo's everywhere. The sponsorship deals are massive. And yet, ask anyone who actually cares about beer what they think of Carling, and the answer is almost always the same. Thin, watery, forgettable. Carling is brewed by Molson Coors at their Burton-upon-Trent facility, one of the largest brewing operations in Europe. The recipe uses a blend of malted barley and maize, a cheaper grain that lightens the body and cuts production costs. The result is a lager that clocks in at 4% ABV with a flavour profile so mild it barely registers. Independent brewing experts have noted that Carling exemplifies the race to the bottom in British lager, sacrificing depth for drinkability metrics. Consumer reviews tell the story. Words like bland, tasteless, and weak appear again and again. In blind taste tests, Carling consistently ranks at the bottom compared to continental lagers and craft alternatives. Yet the marketing pushes on, promoting it as the taste of British football and good times with mates. This is not a beer made for enjoyment, it is a beer made for scale. Every decision in its production is designed to keep costs low and output high. Consistency over character, efficiency over excellence. And millions of British drinkers accept it as normal because they have never been shown what beer can actually taste like. But Carling's just the beginning. The next lager on our list is not even British, and the country it claims to represent wants nothing to do with it. Number 9. Foster's, the Australian lager that Australia refuses to drink. Foster's has been marketed to British consumers for decades as the authentic taste of the Australian outback. The kangaroo logo, the Paul Hogan-style adverts, the promise of ice-cold refreshment from down under. Except almost none of it is true. Foster's sold in the UK is not brewed in Australia. It is brewed in Manchester by Heineken. The recipe is different from anything you would find in an Australian pub. And here is the kicker. Australians themselves consider Foster's a joke. It barely registers on sales charts in its supposed home country. Market research shows Foster's commands in key less than 3% of Australian beer sales, while British drinkers consume millions of pints, annually believing they are getting something authentic. When Australians are asked about Foster's, the most common response is that it is a beer made for export to people who do not know any better. The flavour profile reflects this cynical approach. Foster's is light, fizzy, and aggressively inoffensive. It is designed to appeal to the lowest common denominator, a lager you can drink without thinking because there is almost nothing there to think about. Reviews describe it as bland, gassy, and utterly forgettable. The alcohol content sits at 4%. The ingredients include maize and other adjuncts that bulk out production while stripping away depth. What you are paying for is not Australian craftsmanship. It is a British factory product wrapped in foreign branding to make it seem exotic. Foster's is a masterclass in beer marketing over beer making. The entire brand identity is built on a lie, and British drinkers have been falling for it for generations. You are not getting a taste of Australia. You are getting a watered-down lager brewed a few miles from Manchester city centre. And if misleading branding sounds bad, wait until you hear what Carlsberg publicly admitted about its own beer. Number 8. Carlsberg UK. The brewery that publicly admitted its beer was not good enough. In 2019, Carlsberg did something almost unheard of in corporate marketing. They launched an entire campaign centred on the fact that their UK brewed lager had declined in quality so badly that they needed to apologise and start again. The tagline was brutal, probably not the best beer in the world. An admission that years of cost-cutting had damaged the product beyond recognition. Carlsberg, sold in Britain, is brewed at their Northampton facility, not in Denmark. And the difference matters. The UK version uses a different recipe, different water, and a brewing process optimised for speed and volume, rather than the craft traditions of continental Europe. The result is a lager frequently described as weak, thin, and lacking the malt character that defines a proper Pilsner. The alcohol content was quietly reduced to 3.8%, lower than the Danish original. Consumer complaints piled up for years before the company finally acknowledged the problem. Taste tests placed Carlsberg UK near the bottom of lager rankings, with reviewers noting a harsh, almost metallic aftertaste that better brewed versions do not have. Industry analysts estimated the reformulation cost tens of millions of pounds, money spent fixing problems that should never have been allowed to develop. Carlsberg spent millions reformulating the recipe after their public admission. They claim the new version is improved, but the damage to trust is done. For years, British drinkers were sold an inferior product under a premium continental name, and the company knew it. They chose profit, margins over quality, until the backlash became impossible to ignore. When a brewery has to publicly apologise for how bad their beer became, that tells you everything about the priorities driving the industry. Carlsberg was not the only premium lager that quietly collapsed. The next one was once considered genuinely upmarket. Number 7. Stella Artois, UK. The fallen premium lager that became a cautionary tale. There was a time when Stella Artois meant something in Britain. The French language branding, the chalice glass, the tagline reassuringly expensive. It was positioned as a cut above the standard pub lager, a sophisticated choice for drinkers willing to pay a little more. That reputation is now in tatters. Stella, sold in the UK today, is not the same beer it was 20 years ago. The alcohol content has been quietly reduced multiple times, dropping from 5.2% down to 4.6%. Each reduction came with claims that flavour was preserved, but long-term drinkers disagree. Reviews increasingly describe modern Stella as sharper, thinner, and less balanced than the lager they remember. Forums dedicated to beer enthusiasts are filled with posts mourning the loss of what Stella used to be before the accountants took over. The brewing has also shifted. What was once an imported Belgian product is now largely brewed in the UK under licence, with all the recipe compromises that entails. The malt character has faded, the hop balance has tilted toward bitterness, without complexity. What remains is a lager trading entirely on a legacy it no longer deserves. And then there is the image problem. Stella acquired the unfortunate nickname wife beater in British culture due to its association with aggressive behaviour when consumed in excess. The brand has spent years trying to shake this reputation through rebranding efforts and ABV reductions, but the nickname persists because the public remembers. Stella Artois is the clearest example of a premium lager hollowed out from the inside. The price stayed high while the quality quietly dropped. Consumers kept paying for the name, not realising the product behind it had fundamentally changed. If Stella shows how a premium image can mask declining quality, the next beer shows how a global giant uses cheap ingredients to maximise profits from the start. Number 6. Budweiser. The American giant built on rice and marketing. Budweiser calls itself the king of beers. It is one of the most recognised alcohol brands on the planet, backed by billions in advertising and sponsorship deals that stretch from the World Cup to the Super Bowl. But behind the red label and the Clydesdale horses is a brewing philosophy designed to deliver maximum profit with minimum ingredient cost. Budweiser's recipe uses a significant proportion of rice as an adjunct grain alongside barley malt. Estimates suggest rice makes up as much as 30% of the grain bill. Rice is cheaper than barley and ferments cleanly, but it also strips away the body, depth, and malt complexity that defines traditional lager brewing. The result is a beer that is light to the point of being hollow. Brewing traditionalists point out that German purity laws would not even classify Budweiser as beer due to its reliance on non-barley grains. This is not an accident. It is by design. Budweiser is engineered to be as inoffensive as possible, a beer you can drink without tasting much of anything. The bitterness is minimal. The hop character is virtually absent. What you get is cold, fizzy, and forgettable. Perfect for casual drinkers who do not care about flavour. terrible for anyone who does. The UK version is brewed domestically, under the AB InBev umbrella, the largest beer conglomerate in the world. The priority is consistency and cost efficiency across global markets. Every bottle tastes the same whether you buy it in London or Los Angeles. But tasting the same is not the same as tasting good. Budweiser proves that massive marketing budgets can sell almost anything. The beer itself is secondary to the brand image. You are not paying for quality, you are paying for advertisements. And if Budweiser is engineered for blandness, the next lager takes that philosophy even further by designing a beer meant to be served so cold you cannot taste it at all. If you're learning something new here, hit subscribe and keep these eye-opening breakdowns coming. Number 5. Coors, the beer engineered to be served so cold you cannot taste it. Coors has built its entire brand identity around one concept: cold. The Rocky Mountain imagery, the frost-covered cans, the colour-changing labels that tell you when the beer is cold enough to drink. Everything about Coors marketing emphasises temperature over flavour. And there is a reason for that. When beer is served extremely cold, the taste receptors on your tongue become less sensitive. Flavours that would be noticeable at normal temperatures become muted or disappear entirely. For craft brewers, this is a problem. For Coors, it is the entire strategy. They have created a lager so lacking in character that the only way to make it palatable is to numb your ability to taste it. Coors Light, the brand's flagship product in the UK, contains corn syrup as part of its brewing process. This is a cheaper fermentable than traditional barley malt, and it contributes to the ultralight body that defines the brand. The alcohol content sits at 4%, but the flavour profile is so thin that many drinkers describe it as closer to sparkling water than actual beer. Nutritional comparisons have shown Coors Light delivers fewer calories than most lagers, precisely because there is so little substance present in the liquid. The cold-activated technology on the packaging is not a gimmick, it is an instruction. Drink this before it warms up, and you realise what you are actually consuming. The entire product experience is designed around masking the beer's weaknesses rather than showcasing any strengths. Coors is the logical endpoint of industrial lager brewing, a product so afraid of its own flavour that it tells you to freeze it into submission. The mountains on the can are not a promise of quality, they are a distraction. But while Coors hides its flaws behind cold marketing, the next brand has a different problem: consistency without character. Number 4. Heineken UK, consistency without character. Heineken is one of the most recognisable beer brands in the world. The green bottle, the red star, the sponsorship of Champions League football. It positions itself as a premium international lager, a step above the budget options cluttering supermarket shelves. But the UK brewed version tells a different story. Heineken sold in Britain is produced domestically at their Manchester facility, not imported from the Netherlands. And like so many other international brands brewed under licence, the recipe has been adjusted for local production. The result is a lager that prioritises consistency above all else. Every bottle tastes exactly the same. The problem is that same means bland. The brewing process is heavily standardised. Pasteurisation ensures shelf stability, but strips away some of the delicate flavours that distinguish fresh beer. The hop character is minimal, designed to avoid offending anyone, rather than to actually taste interesting. What remains is a clean but hollow lager that divides drinkers with its distinct but one-dimensional bitterness. Comparative testing between Dutch-brewed Heineken and UK-brewed Heineken has shown noticeable differences in aroma, body, and finish that regular drinkers can identify. Consumer reviews reflect this tension. Some appreciate the reliability. They know exactly what they are getting every time. Others find that predictability boring, a beer with no surprises because there is nothing there to discover. Heineken UK is not bad in the way that contaminated or adulterated products are bad. It is bad in a more subtle way. It is mediocre by design. The green bottle may look premium, but what is inside is an industrial product optimized for volume and efficiency. You are paying extra for the brand recognition, not for superior brewing. And if an underwhelming lager is disappointing, wait until you hear about the product that is not even beer, yet sits right beside them on the shelf. Number 3. Strongbow Original Cider. The fake cider hiding in the beer aisle. Strongbow's not beer. we know that. But walk into any supermarket in Britain and you will find it stacked right next to the lagers, marketed to the same drinkers, and consumed in the same way. It dominates the cider market so completely that for millions of people, Strongbow is what cider tastes like. And that is precisely the problem. Traditional cider is made from pressed apples, fermented slowly, with nothing else needed. Strongbow Original is a different product entirely. The ingredient list includes glucose syrup, artificial sweeteners, and a cocktail of processing aids designed to create a consistent taste at industrial scale. What you are drinking is closer to an apple-flavoured, alcoholic beverage than anything a traditional cider maker would recognise. The sugar content is significant. Strongbow delivers a sharpness that many drinkers mistake for authentic apple tartness, but that bite comes from manufacturing, not from fruit. The sweetness hits hard, masking the lack of real cider complexity underneath. Consumer complaints frequently mention the artificial aftertaste, a chemical edge that lingers in a way natural fermentation does not produce. Some batches have drawn criticism for inconsistency, with drinkers reporting variations in sweetness and carbonation that suggest quality control issues at the production level. Strongbow is owned by Heineken and produced on a massive scale. The priority is volume and price point, not craft or quality. Real cider makers using whole pressed apples cannot compete on cost, so Strongbow dominates by default. Consumers never learn what proper cider should taste like because the industrial version has flooded the market. This is not cider. It is a manufactured drink wearing cider's name. And every pint sold pushes authentic producers further to the margins. But if Strongbow tricks consumers through marketing, the next entry on our list does not even bother pretending. It is cheap, it is harsh, and it has earned its reputation for all the wrong reasons. Number 2. Skål, the bottom shelf lager that tastes like regret. Every supermarket has one. The lager stacked at the very bottom of the shelf, priced so low that you wonder how they make any money on it at all. In Britain, that lager is often Skål, a brand that has become synonymous with budget drinking and the compromises that come with it. Skål is brewed to hit a price point, and everything about the product reflects that priority. The malt presence is minimal, delivering almost no body or depth. The carbonation is aggressive, a fizzy sharpness that distracts from the lack of actual flavour underneath, and then there is the aftertaste. Drinkers consistently describe a harsh, metallic finish that lingers unpleasantly long after the sip is over. The brand has Brazilian origins, but the UK version is a separate product entirely, brewed domestically to local specifications. Those specifications appear to prioritise cost-cutting above all else. The grain bill relies heavily on adjuncts, the brewing process is optimised for speed, and the result is a lager that exists purely because some consumers will choose the cheapest option regardless of quality. Online reviews frequently rank Skål among the worst lagers available in Britain, with some testers refusing to finish a single can during comparative tastings. Skål is not trying to be good, it is trying to be cheap, and on that measure, it succeeds. But the trade-off is a drinking experience that many describe as genuinely unpleasant. This is not refreshment, this is endurance. For budget-conscious drinkers, Skål might seem like a reasonable compromise, but when the savings come at the cost of taste, quality, and basic enjoyment, you have to ask what the point of drinking it is in the first place. And yet, as low as Skål sets the bar, there is one product on our list that manages to sink even lower. A beer so associated with problem drinking that some shops keep it behind the counter. Number 1. Tennent's Super. The super strength lager that trades misery for profit. There is a category of beer in Britain that exists outside the normal market. Super strength lagers, sold cheap in single cans, designed to deliver maximum alcohol with minimum cost. And at the centre of this category sits Tennent's Super. 9% ABV, harsh, uncompromising, and deeply controversial. Tennent's Super is not brewed for flavour. The alcohol content is so high that any malt character or hop balance is overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of the ethanol. Drinkers describe it as burning, chemical, and almost undrinkably harsh. This is not a beer you savour. This is a beer you consume for one reason only: to get drunk as cheaply and quickly as possible. And that is where the real problem lies. Super strength lagers like Tennent's Super have become associated with street drinking, alcohol dependency, and the vulnerable populations who fall into addiction. Health campaigners have called for restrictions on their sale for years. Some local councils have pressured shops to stop stocking them entirely. Scotland introduced minimum unit pricing partly to address the harm caused by these products, forcing prices up to reduce consumption among the most vulnerable drinkers. The social harm linked to these products is well documented and difficult to ignore. Tennent's defends the product as a legitimate choice for adult consumers. But the reality on the ground tells a different story. These cans are not bought by casual drinkers looking for a premium experience. They are bought by people in crisis, people for whom the 9% ABV is the only feature that matters. This is not beer as refreshment or enjoyment. This is alcohol as a delivery mechanism, stripped of everything except potency and price. When a product's primary association is human misery, it does not belong on any shelf. Tennent's Super represents the darkest corner of the British beer market. A product that profits from desperation and calls it consumer choice.